welcome to Black Dragon Immortalis. Thank you for joining.
Hey guys.
One thing that I kind of want to talk about that I've been experiencing recently is the importance of working with a Book of Shadows.
Well, yes.
That's
100%.
That's going to be a good one, because guess what, guys? I don't. So
he doesn't write anything down. Like, I've been writing down his experiences for him because he just won't do it.
it's not something that I've ever done. Now, I have realized that now that I'm getting older, some of those experiences that I've gone through, astrally or otherwise, I don't always remember, necessarily as clear as, exactly when it happened. So I can see how using one of those books of shadows would be a tremendous help.
Absolutely. Yes.
So,
I've been writing things down forever.
It's something that I'm learning.
But you do have an impeccable memory. I will say that. I have the horrible memory, and he has, like, the most amazing memory. He can remember things from when he was, like, a baby, and I was just like, what? I only have one memory of when I was a baby.
I can see how using a Book of Shadows can be a huge help in not only remembering, what you've brought about in your gnosis, but also going back to and seeing if anything applies to what you've previously worked on or with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's not always relevant. It's not like always something that we know is going to be for us when we receive it. It may be for someone else in our life, and we don't know until that moment happens. It's just crazy how that works.
Oh yeah. The thing that I've noticed with the Book of Shadows is not only is it super useful, not only is it super important, not only does it store information that you can take from the past that you've forgotten about, just little details that are more important than you think. Spirits, whenever they see that you're working on a Book of Shadows, they start to, I've noticed that they come to me more, and they're more willing to work with me because they see that I appreciate the dreams, the experiences, and the channel gnosis enough to write it down. And whenever they see this, they're like, okay, let's work with this dude, because not only is he willing to work with us, not only does he have the abilities and the capabilities, he's taking the time and effort to make sure that it stays, that it's important. So they're more, I've noticed they've been more willing to work with me. They've been more willing to reveal stuff to me, even give me dreams. And whenever I take the dreams that I have and I write them down, it's like they're more willing to give me the dreams.
Right.
And then it makes lucid dreaming easier, because when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I think about is I need to write this in my Book of Shadows, and this activates the part of my brain that corresponds to remembering dreams. Yeah. And it tells my brain, and it tells your brain, this is important, you need to remember it. So a lot of people that astral project while they're dreaming, they don't fully remember it because their brain isn't trained to think, oh, this is important, I should remember it. So even writing it down, or writing visions down, or whatever it is that you're doing in the astral, it allows your physical mind to connect and comprehend. And not to mention, if you have sigils or pacts or rituals or words of power in this becomes a relic of power and a relic of energy. I have a pact of Iblis in this, so it contains his energy. I have my higher self sigil in this book, so it contains that energy. I have the sigil of angels, demons, all kinds of different spirits. So if I wanted to, I could take the energy of this and implement it in my rituals, and it would empower my rituals, because it's slowly building up and connecting this energy.
Absolutely. I just reordered my blank one for the new year. So I have that, and I'll be starting to work on that. And then for my birthday, Vinny got me something that I'm not supposed to know about. They're markers. And I'll be able to do some really cool art in my grimoire. So I'm excited for that. But I don't know about that. So,
Now, the going to the teaching portion of what we do, would it be fair to say that when teaching black magic or any magic for that matter, that the grimoire is a key to help the practitioner put their selves into. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, yeah. I have like a healing ritual channeled from Leviathan, and I have channeled chants. So if I need to say, "Hey, this is how you do a ritual to somebody I'm teaching,"
Right.
I will take a picture of um, what I've written down, which will better explain things than if I was to just try to remember it and pull it up out of nowhere, or create a chant out of nowhere, or
Right. Sure. Right.
anything like that. So if I wanted to teach somebody healing, I would show them the section of my Book of Shadows that is talking about like Leviathan's healing ritual. And not only does it give the ritual and it give you the visualization and everything you need, it shows my experience of how it affected me and how I worked with it. And then they can take the information from that experience and correlate it to their experience and to understanding it. So not only do they have the information they need, they have an experience which they can learn from as well and correlate to their experiences.
And it becomes
incredible.
It becomes a masterful teaching tool. You know what I mean?
It does. If you notice, a lot of spirits take great importance in writing in books. If we look at Zazazel, I don't know if you guys know who Zazazel is from the Mesozoic tradition, but he finds great importance in grimoires. And one of his things is making grimoires sacred and teaching magicians how to use grimoires. If we look at Thoth from the Egyptian pantheon, he's constantly writing stuff down, writing information down. So just by observing these deities, we can understand that grimoires and Book of Shadows are far more important than we can even comprehend. And until you implement the Book of Shadows and really work with it, you're not going to fully understand it. And another thing is, if you're sitting there and you're doubting these experiences and you're thinking, maybe I'm delusional, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm making it up, maybe my memory switched up and I created this in my head, you can look back at the Book of Shadows, see what you writ down in your experiences, and it will clarify it, and it will bring back those memories and experiences, and you'll say, okay, that's why I remember why this happened, or I remember how this happened. Or if you're doubting your magical path, you can look back and you can be like, oh shit, I remember that day that I was hearing knocks on the wall and all that stuff. I forgot about all the knocking on the wall. Or I forgot about seeing that spirit in the mirror. You know? And that stuff, it's little details that you might forget about that you write down in the Book of Shadows that make it important, because these little details are far more important than you realize. A lot of people
what I find funny is that today's society, we don't write anything down anymore. I mean, in terms of everything's done computer, you type it, you text it, you send it, you know, on this path, like you said, if you're right, if most of us use grimoires, I don't, that doesn't mean I won't begin, because I have a wife that writes everything down. But, we still do that on this path. This path is not necessarily accepted. You know what I mean? It's always been bastardized in some way, as as writing has. As writing things down, writing's become bastardized. I mean, we don't do it anymore. Nobody buys pens and pencils anymore. Nobody buys paper. Nobody buys. We don't even fucking read anymore. You know what I'm saying? Nobody really picks up a book. We go get the Kindle or the other fucking fire devices, and that's what we do now. Nobody really takes the time to put shit down. And like you said, if it comes from your, what your gnosis, if it comes from a spirit, the best way to do it is obviously write it down. Put it down somewhere where you can potentially teach if you choose, or just to keep it as your memory, as something that was part of you. You know what I mean?
That's why I write down every single ritual that I do. I always write them down first. And that serves in two ways. One, I can always go back and redo that ritual exactly the way that I did it before. And two, I can always teach someone else, how to do it for themselves.
If you so choose, you can do just that. And
I have a couple things that I would like
that's
to
okay.
add.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Now, for the teaching purposes, say that you have a kid or a child or a student that you're teaching,
Right.
and they're having spiritual experiences and they don't know if they're genuine. You can pull out your Book of Shadows. So say that say that they're having genuine experiences and they don't understand it. You can show
Right.
them your Book of Shadows and they'll be like, "Oh, you had the same experience as me?" And then they can correlate that and they can say, "Okay, that just confirms it even more." So it's really good for beginners, especially if you're wanting to pass it down to a kid or a student of yours or whoever, or if you just want them to use it to study, as long as it doesn't contain too personal of information in it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Now, another thing is, whenever you're creating the Book of Shadows, it gives you something to work in and to work for. It gives you motivation. It gives you a sense of direction. I've noticed that whenever I work on my Book of Shadows, I wake up the next day, I'm like, I want to write in this. I want something new that I can put in this. What can I do? Or what experiences do I have that I can put in this and make it more valuable to me? It gives you a sense of self. It gives you a sense of motivation, success, and it's really helpful. It's really worth it. A lot of people may overlook writing and say, I don't have the time or it's boring, but it's really important to get this stuff down.
I know, 2 years ago when I started my first Book of Shadows, I was always bringing it with me, everywhere that I went. I can't take it out of my house because it's so full and the pages are falling out.
She brought it everywhere.
It has all these other things jammed in it, sigils and rituals, because I ran out of paper a long time ago. So it's just shoved full of all this stuff now. So I can't take it anywhere anymore. So I'll have to figure that out. But I used to take it everywhere.
It's the same with me. Like, whenever I go somewhere, I always put it in my backpack, and I always carry my backpack around with pens or Sharpies or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's great that you being of the new, I'm gonna say of the new age, because I'm a lot older than you, and I didn't always write things down. I wonder why. I mean,
You're just old school.
I'm just old school, but it's nice that you could just simply carry around an iPad, backpack, something digital to type something down. You choose to use pen and paper. I think it's fantastic. I really do. I think it's something that we should do more of. Because again, you never know where you're going to be when a gnosis may come up, a spirit may come knocking. You don't know those things. Great. I applaud my impeccable memory, the memory that I have, but I can't remember everything.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of wish I took that time to write it down.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I kind of want to add, you mentioned the digital documentation. I don't normally do that because the Book of Shadows in the physical, it's awesome, and I enjoy physical writing.
Sure.
But if we look, V.K. Johana, amazing magician, really good practitioner. But if you think about it, his website, not only is it informational and it teaches things, that's basically his Book of Shadows.
I agree with you.
His website is basically a digital version of his Book of Shadows.
I agree with you.
It's where he takes all of his information and puts it in there so that he can further go back and look at it. It's basically a digital Book of Shadows, and look at how much it's grown. Look at how much it's helping people.
Yeah.
Look at how much it's doing.
Absolutely.
That's another thing I wanted to bring up tonight. The path itself, the left hand path, the magical path. Where I come from, it was small. You had underground. Everything was kind of hidden. You know, no one really talked about it. You had a few people that knew things and did things, but today it's grown into what it is now,
Mm,
and it's different, but the same. Does that kind of make sense?
mm,
It's
it
it.
is.
You know, we all have different ways of practicing. We all have different ways of documenting. We all have different ways of doing, but we're all kind of on the same path. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Some benefits that I've noticed from the Book of Shadows is I wanted to mention this really quick is I've been having spirits more willing to help me with getting dreams and
Sure.
remembering my astral projections because I'm
I can
writing
see
them down.
why. Yeah, I can see why
And
because they want
I've
to.
sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all right. Uh, you're bringing up so many things and it's flowing. It wants to flow, and I'm like, okay. So I apologize. I
No,
apologize.
you're good. You're good. Um, but I've just noticed that my abilities have like quadrupled. They've intensified by so much. My experiences that I've been having have quadrupled. The spirits willing to come help me have quadrupled. It's been beneficial in so many different ways.
Do you think that? Do you think that the path itself has grown because people have now become more aware of where things are going? What do you just think it's? Here's a question for you. Do you think it's still the fad that it once was? Let's say back in the '80s, because I remember back in the '80s, it was just cool to wear the pentagram with the Baphomet head on it, and if you walked around with that on, you're Mr. or Mrs. Badass, and yet you didn't know what that meant. You had no
Mhm.
idea what the sigil on your chest had to do with, but yet you were considered a badass. So
Mhm.
it's grown tremendously from those days.
I
And like
would
I
say,
said, the good stuff was underground.
mhm,
No one really talked about it if they knew about it.
exactly. And I feel like a lot of it, um, a lot of the growth that we've had, and a lot of our magicians that are coming forth now are
Yeah.
coming from the fad. They're coming from that social setting and that social group. Like me personally, like I notice a lot of goths, emos. They're always wearing pentagrams and this shit that they see as edgy and cool.
Right.
Right,
And
right,
that because they think, okay, I'm wearing this. What does it really mean? That okay, 1 in
exactly,
100
exactly.
emos will
Right,
question
right.
what does the pentagram really mean, and out of that 1 in 100, we will have one that becomes a practitioner, and then we will have out of the 10 of 1,000, one that becomes a very powerful practitioner,
Yeah,
and then one out of the 10,000 becomes a teacher. So the fad
right.
is important. It works powerfully, um, and it definitely serves its purpose. Sometimes it's still a fashion statement, but at the same
Sure, I
time,
get it.
um, it's still expanding, and people are still growing from it. Um,
Right. Yep. I can see that
I I
too.
have I have a lot of people that come to me whenever they're getting into the occult, and the first thing that they ask me is, "Are demons evil? Are they going to terrorize me in my sleep? Can I
Right,
use them
yeah,
to
yeah,
curse
yeah.
my ex?" And I'm like,
Right.
"Hold up, just okay. Like I now you're interested, and now I have to actually teach you what it's actually about because you
Yeah,
came into this with all of these Hollywood assumptions, with all the fashion statements,
Oh yeah.
yep,
whatever goth culture or Hollywood movie you came from,
exactly. Right,
even
right,
though it's inaccurate, it still leads them to asking questions and searching for genuine
right.
answers.
Yep. For years I said to myself, you know, I would never do, I would never do, I would never teach. And then I ended up meeting my wife, and it was a progression. It was I'm not going to tell her what I do or what I can do. I'll let her discover things on her own. And then it took some time, and she, discovered that I was who I was, being a practitioner of the left hand path, and it drove her to be a sponge, to want to learn, to find out things for herself, become her own masterful practitioner. And on top of it, she's a female, which you don't see many of that. Many female practitioners, period, let alone to the level that my wife is. So
thank you. He's my number one fan.
yeah, I'm a fanboy. But it's it's nice to see. It's nice to see that progression. It's nice. It's nice. I can truly say that teaching, even though I'm not a big fan of people, you already know this. People suck, and I really can't stand them. But I want to move that. I want to move it further. I want to bring out the truth about, you know, being a practitioner and the left hand path, or just magic in general. I happen to be a practitioner of the left hand path. There are other people that practice other, pantheons that I really don't know anything about, but that doesn't mean that they're not good. Do you know what I mean?
One thing that I've noticed is the main questions that I get is, how do I curse someone? How do I summon a succubi?
Yes.
And how do I get magical powers? And I always have to be like, okay, well, you've come with questions. I can't answer everyone, so I redirect them to my YouTube channel or my TikTok or whatever, and then they start getting genuine answers. And some of them are like, okay, this isn't what I want, and they leave. And then some of them actually take it serious and actually get into it. And I've had people that came from my TikTok that entered my Discord, and I've seen a lot of beginners grow into some serious, pretty good magicians. They make mistakes. Sometimes they're mature. Sometimes they have the wrong reasoning behind what they're trying to accomplish. But at the end of the day, they're learning, and their potential is being unlocked.
And I think the mark of a good practitioner is to have the ability to make a mistake and be okay with making a mistake.
Yes.
Because mistakes are part of being. Listen, we're human, right? And that's the part that makes mistakes. Our higher self doesn't make mistakes. So we have to, they're kind of married in a sense. You have to understand that the human part of us, we are faulted. We make errors. But as we, ascend, we become more and more powerful. But to be able to say, I can make a mistake, that's a mark of a great practitioner.
Like I can say that personally, I've made a lot of mistakes. I have pissed off my spirits multiple times.
Sure.
I have had a lot of stuff that I've messed up before, but it's always about owning up and moving on from there. And I've recently dealt with this, and a lot of times you just have to pick yourself up and just kind of move forward from it. Like, a lot of people will mistake thought forms and egregores as the spirits, and they will be communicating with these false spirits. And then after they figure out that it's not really who they're talking to, they feel shitty about themselves, and they treat themselves as a failure, when in reality, everyone that enters this path has made mistakes, and it's about like growing from them and moving on.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that, like, working with Belial taught me a lot too. He was like, listen, this is what we're going to do. You're either going to do it or I'm going to kick your ass. But in the long run, if you don't do these things, it's not going to hurt me. It's going to hurt you more than I could ever hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, okay. Yeah.
Recently, I had an experience when I was in a group chat with individuals.
It's gonna hurt.
Egregores were very active. Um, they were getting in the way. They were fucking with me mentally. They were causing problems, and I made a lot of mistakes. And the Infernal came through some close friends of mine, were majorly pissed off at me,
Right.
called me out on my fucking bullshit, and I felt like shit. I felt like major fucking shit. But now
Sure.
I'm like,
Yeah.
now I'm like, I need to like pick myself up. I need to admit my mistakes, and I need to heal, move forward. And now I've learned to better identify what's an egregore
Right.
and what's genuine spirit, just from the experience that I had of being tricked by them.
How can
and
other people, what are good tips for other people to be able to see that in their own life so that they can help avoid those same situations that, you know, you went through? And we've all been through things that are like that or the exact same thing at some point in our lives.
Okay, yeah, that if you're trying to commune with the spirit, make sure that you properly conjure them, whether it's a chant, a meditation on their sigil, or whatever. Make sure
Right.
that you form a proper connection. If something is in your room and you can't confirm 100% that that's actually them, you need to test this being, and you need to not trust it. I don't care if you've had a relationship with Lilith for a fucking year, for 5 years. You can still be fucked with by egregores. So always make sure that you have that proper connection. And one thing about I've learned about egregores is the energy is always a facade. It's always off, and it's always false. They will say I'm Lilith when they're not really. So don't trust any spirit in the room. And
Can you
always
smell
make
it?
sure.
Can you smell the difference? Can you smell the difference? Is there a?
Oh
Is
yeah,
there a? Okay.
yeah.
I mean,
Sometimes
yeah.
I can just feel the energy, and I'm like, that's not them. Or I can smell them. I'm like, you smell familiar, because like one of my senses abilities is a smell,
Right.
and
Right.
Right.
and I've noticed that sometimes they will come in and they'll try to feed off of you or fuck with you in whatever way.
Yeah.
And if you are just like, oh shit, how do I deal with this? How do I get rid of it?
Sure.
And don't address the problem, it's just going to continue to grow. And sometimes you just have to stare it in the eyes, accept the problem, and move forward from there.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
But always,
That's really cool.
egregores will take on familiar faces. They will take on the persona of familiar deities. They will tell you what you want to hear. They will throw mental thoughts at you. They will attempt to manipulate you in many different ways.
Can
So,
they drive you insane?
oh yeah,
Can they drive you insane?
they will drive you insane just to get what they want out of it. And you could be the one creating this thought form. You could be driving yourself insane. The practitioners need to be very careful about this. We will definitely be talking about how to deal with egregores properly in the future. But for now, this is the end of the video. So thank you everybody for joining Black Dragon Immortalis and watching this video.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Seriously. And peace out, everyone.